Capehart and Uncle Nathan Otland as it relates to the Sarah Morris descendants. These are roots of Sarah Morris. And as a matter of fact, you guys, I want to get it clear. You guys all consider yourselves as grandchildren, or
Grandchildren
Yes, grandchildren of Sarah Morris.
of Carl Morris.
all right, grandchildren of Sarah Carr Morris. So now let's go directly into it. Firstly, um, let's ask who was Sarah Morris, Sarah Carr Morris. I don't know who wants to take the lead. Um, Uncle Stanley, Uncle Nathan, or Reverend Kipper. Who wants to go first?
I would recommend Reverend Kepa.
Okay,
Yes.
Reverend Kipper.
Yeah, as my brother James Newton Outland just said that Cyril Carl Morris was a very direct, compassionate, full of Christian principle. Um, but she hailed from Carver, Maserati County, Benson Street. Her father was Thomas Issachar DeFice,
Okay.
and she got married to the first husband was Sammy Ross Johnson, and she was carried to Southtown, Louisiana. Southtown is a town in Louisiana,
Mhm.
and in Louisiana she lived with her husband, and they brought forth two children, Amelia Johnson Richardson and Alexine Johnson Kipper. They grew up to a teenage before they left their home. Unfortunately for Cyril Carl Morris, her husband, at the age of 38 years old, got paralyzed,
Mm.
fell with a stroke. He stayed sick for a while and he died. So, as the saying goes, uh, separation comes by death. So she left from Southtown, Louisiana, and went back to her father's house on Benson Street, Carville.
Mm.
There were 40 summons, saw this young lady, still young, and he got married to her and took her to Johnsonville where she lived briefly. And then that, through death, she left again and went back home, where Reverend J.D. R. Morris from Caldwell saw her and took her as his wife, where she remained until her death. From my remembrance and recording, she was 69 years old, approaching her 70 years, which are going to be 97. 97. But she died around about August to September. So she did not mature her full 70. So she died. And she was buried on Benson Street, Carver, next to her father, Thomas Issachar.
Okay, so that's a brief one there, and I don't know whether Uncle Nathan, Uncle Stanley will want to come in to add up to what Reverend Kipper, collection or recollection is. Any of you want to add up? Maybe.
Um, I know my Sarah being a devoted Christian. She was born in Benson Street, uh, to the union that Reverend Kipper just called in the year 1903, December 12th, and she lived to her death 1971. Being a devoted Christian, she had hands worked in the Christian arena. She lived and worked in the Baptist church. I can remember her being the church clerk, Ebenezer Baptist church clerk. When they decided to transfer
Augustine, I don't mean to cut you up, but if you can give yourself a little bit of space with the headroom so that we can just get,
in
yeah,
Lahore.
that is,
Okay, sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Uh, like I stated, she lived in I mean, she was did a for that Christian, and she helped moving the church across the bridge from on the water edge to closer to town. Which of course the church still exists. Uh, she held the first conference in that church, 1966, and the church still exists. Where when we leave from here and go home, is the church of which we all still worship in. Um, she built her house really not too far from the church, and she lived as a strong Christian. I guess that's a little tip of the.
I'll go Newton.
Yeah.
You want to add up? Is there anything you know about who Sarah Morris was?
Well, what I would like to say is that she was a loving grandmother. She took care of her grandchildren and she gave advices to parents and the children. She cared for us. She made sure whoever was our father, we was not taken advantage of. Because when you see a elderly person standing before you and giving food of thought that you as the father need to know, not my time, but for her wisdom to our fathers and mothers, they all follow and they respected her for her wisdom.
So true.
So I think I will leave it that far and let somebody else go on from there.
Okay, so as we know or we understand from the history, from Mount Sarah, Cobb Morris came Alexane and Amelia, or Amelia and Alexane, right? So I would like you guys to, you guys, I see that it more like giving a soft spot as grandmom's grandchildren on here. So I think the grandchildren might have seen a lot, listened to a lot from their parents, those that came from Mount Sarah. Uh, can you guys talk a little more or a little bit about uh, Amelia and Alexine as children of Mount Sarah? What do you know? What kind of mother was Mount Sarah to her kids? That I believe trickled down to you all today. You want to talk a little bit about that? Who wants to go first?
Yes, I would like to go first.
Okay.
Yes, our grandmother, Sarah Morris Carr, she was a darling mother. She was somebody who you could um, take in her food of thought, and she was a straightforward woman. She never said anything bad about any of our mother or father.
Internet.
That the game around here.
Yeah, they're not on the roll.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we get to Uncle Nathan a little. I believe because they're traveling. I don't know. Any of you want to pick it up?
Yeah. Um, uh, as what I've experienced with my grandmother, she was a disciplinarian. She brought up her children religiously and objectively, full of virtue, knowing right from wrong, and she imparted into them the compassion that God have given through his death to them. So they were very, being a mother that took a lot of the responsibility of her two girls. She brought them up in a disciplined home. And she taught them that Christ was the foundation of their lives. And when they left her home, they also instilled those qualities into their children. And so both my aunt, I lived both with my aunt and my mother. And living with my mother, I had a
You
whole
gotta reach them.
I had a whole lot of experience that
Oh, okay.
built up my
Yeah.
foundation today.
Okay.
I believe even going to school, I did not gather as much of life understanding than what I got from my mother. My mother lived with me very objectively and told me what was right. It left for me to impart it, to accept it and live accordingly. Same as my aunt. I live with my aunt and she showed me all love. She showed me love until she died because both of them were in the United States. Both of them partly lived with me, and both of them I knew the in and out. Practically, they were always disciplining me all through because there were some places that I fell short. But through prayers and supplication, they were able to get me to become stable. And believe me, I miss them till now because I believe if they were still alive, they would still enjoy the fruit of my labor.
All right.
Yeah.
Augustina, you want to go? Sarah Morris
Uh,
is mother to Emilia and Elizane. What's your recollection?
uh, Sarah Morris was such a loving and caring mother to her two girls. Actually, I left out during the knowing and introduction of Sarah Morris. Uh, just be informed that Sarah Morris had a fine education.
Mm.
She was a scholar of the Bromley Mission. We had a little joke for her when she was getting older. She when we say from the girl whom the hair was stuffish boom. Oh, she used to get so mad and she felt that our jokes were hard. So then she got her education from Bromley.
Mm,
She instilled love and discipline, as you heard from the houses that the older mob, that her discipline was just straight and at the point. She showed her daughters love. And I tell you one thing, because of the love from our grandmother showing to her daughters, we didn't have one man.
mm,
Believe you me, we had two mothers. Mia was Alexine, and Alexine was Mia. They were no different when you left from Corway and went to Virginia, or when you leave from Virginia and come to Corway. We had two homes and we had two mothers. They were darling. Uh, they were trying. They had the children them by pair. They were just pairing us up. Newton pair group, that both Zellen pair group, Mother E, and come down the line. Tom, CB, you come down. Albert, John, Stanley, Mark. And all, even the last one had the last two boys to get in the scene name, Punchy Two, Punchy Two. So the love didn't just start and stop. The love came from the mother's womb to the death. And the best thing I know, as I've said it, we didn't have one mother, we had two mothers taking care of us at the same time, preciously taking care of us. And so we have had the best life when it comes to mother's care.
Now let's look at the fact that aspect our cultural lifestyle, from where we've come, tradition. They will always say one person's child in a community is everybody's child. And what will you say about the cultural lifestyle of Sarah Morris, whether it's in the township of Caldwell or other areas that she was connected to?
Sarah Mother was a very consecutive woman. Was she only in Saston? She went to you when you have problem, and she will give what she have for assistance, and she gave her services when you needed services. It must have to be um, what she can afford.
Mm,
Uh, she had her children in Saston. She sent them out to school, and when they got back, they were at home. She taught them how to sew. She taught them how to bake, and there were a lot of people in the community of Saston that learned how to sew and bake from Sarah Sarah Johnson at that time,
mm,
Sarah Johnson. So she left from there. She took that all with her to Cabo, where she got married to Reverend J.D. R. Morris. She baked and she sewed. The house that was built, she made pastry to help to buy the material to build the house for the Baptist uh, Missionary Educational Convention. They used to call it the Iron Convention
mm,
at that time. And she was very, very, very disciplined in how she talked, what she said, and how she would say it.
mm,
Very respectful. She was very, very compassionate. Everybody, children were her children. She didn't allow people to hang around her home. She didn't mislead any of them. But one thing that she taught my mother that I gathered from her,
Mm.
that our home was our home, and we had enough chairs there that we could wear out. So we are not privileged to go and wear out the next neighbor chairs. And she always had her busy
Mm-hmm.
until I took a part of my mother. My mother, my mother could sew. So my first trousers that I wore to 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 high school, I made it myself.
Hmm.
I sewed my trousers. Uh, that one year, I attended the Elizabeth Tottenham Memorial Institute. Most of the time, I stayed with my brother, Newton. And so I know very much. Mother could sew very well, and she could bake some good shortbread.
Hmm.
Uh, Apart from it, I know that they were just so sweet. They were sweet people, man. But Sarah Morris, she was always in her home. She reared up um, most of her grandchildren, like the late Amelia, the present Stephen T. Botto. She reared him, lived with her all the time until he got grown enough to be a man. Uh, Amelia, uh, the second Amelia, her granddaughter Amelia Richardson,
Mm-hmm.
Ain't it, honey?
and then Honey. She reared her. When she left from her grandmother, she had passed. She was promoted to the I think ninth grade because Charlotte had gone to the eighth grade. But because she died, Omen Morris could not keep them because there were no male female figure in the house to
Mm.
take care of teenager girls. So that's the reason why they left Carway and went back to Virginia to the mother. But most of the early and teenage life, they lived with the grandmother in Carver.
All right, Augustine, Sarah Morris as a community person, you know, cultural identity. What will you say?
Well, thank you. But Sarah Murray was a very generous person. She loved people. She loved people, children. She read people, or she got people to stay with her that were not her own children, people that she did not even know. She brought girls in person of Bernice. Bernice was from from Harrisburg. Her parents were from Harrisburg. The Goodings, Bernice Gooding, Esther Gooding, Shirley Gooding, and just to name a few. They had a boy from somewhere. I think they call him Zena. Zena came from I think Bombing, and all of these people. Sarah Morris took care of them. She even named me particularly one of her children. We were three that were, little boys, and she took us from our parents, Empress Duke, Abraham Morris, Barimi Morris, and Stanley Kipper. She took the three of us to be her little boy children, staying with her, but we gave so much trouble because we were not the kind of people that had some sense and knowing what it was like. I would run away because we had a borrow from Montserrat House straight to my old man house. As soon as I feel like I won't be on my mind, I will take that borrow and run away. Barry me used to like to cry and and stuff like that. So she just said, "Okay, what you do? You keep your children there until they get sense enough to do things for themselves and understand, and then they can come back to me They are still my children. I will take care of them even while you guys have them. Sarah Murray is just the kind of person that loved everybody. She wanted people to be around her. She showed love and affection to even those that she didn't know. Uh, she promoted people. She never hurt people. She always wanted people to feel good. She wanted people to feel that she was a mother. She was the kind of mother figure. In the community, she was a mother to everybody. Everybody called her Mom Sarah. Everybody call her Mom Sarah. You just see her today and they ask who that woman that, oh, that Mom Sarah. So she lived a motherly life and in her community, in the church, and all of these things. So she was just a kind of person that show affection to people, render assistance if you really went to her, you never left on her with your hand empty. I guess she was a blessed person. She was always having something to share with somebody. All the time I knew her, she was a sharing grandmother. All of her grandchildren loved her, liked to be around her, and we had a lot of playtime. She was not just a person when I say straightforward person and just to the point. She was not the kind of person that be straightforward and don't play with you and don't show you love. She showed every one of us love and encourage us. You will never go to Master and don't eat something. You will eat something, man. And so, yeah. So she always had her thing in the corner and always show us love and all of us not, like people had a kind of a parent that would spank on you and what have you. She was a grandmother that hug her children, hug her grandchildren, everything. She will call with you because she was a disciplinarian. She tell you what to do and she make you do it. But that time to make you know that the love is there for you, she really showed it to us. Everybody, all of us, miss Mansera. Mansera's sister children. She took care of them. Sophia, Boy Freeman, Baby's sister, one of those that lived with her to all her life too. Okay, she Charlotte, all of the guys. Okay, she cared for her sister children, her brother children, and stuff like that. She was the man Sarah in our whole entire family. When your nieces and nephew call you man Sarah, when they come to you, you come home. Everybody that came to man Sarah, they came home. They came to their own mom. There was still there are words that can't really express who this man Sarah actually was. When she built her house, like the last time I went to the house, the structure was there, something like that. The rooms were small. I said, oh, so the other place that we should be running, you said, yo, just sit down, start running the house before you fall there and hide yourself. I said, look at the place where you run. Oh. So you wasn't, well, I let her be running that place that was that kind of high speed that once right there, you stop running around. Oh, we had the best of everything when we went to Monster. So we always try to run off from our mom and run to Monster. She was always there with open arms to us.
That was a safe haven, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's we I know we pressed with time, but let's look at Sarah's final days with her family, her children, her grandchildren. What are some of those things that you can speak of during her final days? Let's start with you, Baron Kipper.
Her final days, she was not too well, but she embraced, just as you said, other people, children. And the reason why she was Mount Sarah is because that she took care of her siblings. She was the eldest among her siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And so in our community and in a Christian home, the older the older one become the mother.
Mm.
And so she touched the life of every one of her brothers and sisters. In her last days, she had her brother, just like you see. I don't go many places. That's what her brother was the Sam Carr, uh, Issachar's father,
Mm.
and he, what this person too, never went out to many places. But when she got sick, her brother became closer to her. He used to visit her house. And because of her open mindedness and care for people, everybody around came to assist her children while she was sick in the house. People used to take time and come to care for her. And the last day, she died peacefully in her bedroom. Um, I had come from Nima County with my brother, Newton, and we just came down for vacation. While we are there, he decided, well, he wanted to find a job in Marua. He went and applied to the Traco. Um, and he got the job. So we moved down Marua. We're living on Ashmont Street, right opposite the uh, Centenary Pavilion.
Mm.
And it was a big old frame house. And then weekend we went up. It was that we saw my mom them walk moving around and the lady, and she lied down in her bed peacefully and died. With all nearly all of her grandchildren, those who were privileged to be around her
Mm.
were present. Those who were not privileged, they came in later. And that's what I knew her last day was. Very peaceful. Yeah.
Understand?
Yes, Montserrat last day, and like a memorable day, like Reverend Kipper saying, a peaceful day. Uh, Science were not as plain as it is today. Uh, Montserrat was not very old when she got sick. Her sickness started from eye problem. Uh, she was moving around, taking care of her own business, and what have you. When her eyes started hurting, and she would say that she can't see from distance, and it looked like shadow, stuff like that. I can remember my old man also having the same problem before she died. That she would see this kind of shadow, like, and she not making up things from distance, and that was Montserrat problem that she had. But then she told her husband, Reverend Morris, and Reverend Morris loved his wife and just was afraid for her to have pain and be in pain. He took her to the hospital, and then the optical, how to call them, they said that she needed a surgery. If they operate her eye, she would be able to see. They gave her, she agreed, he agreed, and they gave her the first surgery. The first surgery did not prove to be very well. And they want to give her another surgery. That my old man was not in concurrence.
Mm.
But her husband, she had talked to her husband. She wanted the surgery because the doctor would tell you when they work on you, you will be all right. And she wanted to be able to see very, very well. So she took the second surgery. From that surgery, she went blind.
Mm.
Montserrat just in her 60, healthily moving all around, doing her thing for her children, for her grandchildren, not her children anymore, for her grandchildren. Now, who are the people that were in control, were in command of Montserrat's life. She wanted us to be happy, and so we were just there, So she was taking care of us. All of a sudden, this energetic lady went blind. This, of course, it took her down, down, down as fast. Then you can imagine. It was no way to say, well, keep her apologizing to her, making her agree. She never agreed to remain blind. And because of that, from that, she went down into her bed. And as Reverend Kepa said, people took care of her. She died with family and friends, church members around her to see her last breath peacefully.
Uh, and I believe with the lifestyle we see with the Kippa and or descendants of Oman Sarah, it shows that you know it was a life well lived, and she really raised a generation or generations like 8 generations after today that continue to bring more. When we keep on say 16, I don't know how much Augusta there and the rest of the guys. So it's a whole village we see out here. Now you guys try to continue on this legacy. You know that the name Sarah Morris will not go down. The you started with the family reunion and it is off the feed today. You are planning for Minnesota. Let's take a little moment to talk about the importance of why you think this should continue and what you hope to see from the generations that are living it today and yet to come. I know Augustina, you more in charge of putting the forces together. So let's hear you first. Then maybe Reverend Kepa can close out as we wrap up.
Thank you, Sarah. Uh, because of the person Masira was, we pray and hope that we'll be blessed to keep a legacy going. It was disturbing when we found ourselves far apart right in one country and knowing from whence we come. We are all brothers and sisters, and our children do not know who we are. It became very disturbing, and I wanted to take the shot, and every time we talk about it, we're a little bit slower until Auntie Honey and myself talk when I call her to wish her happy birthday. Uh, it was her last birthday, and she told me, Stanley, we got to get these children together. Honey used to be my mother, when we were growing up. Honey and big sister, they used to be my mother. They used to care for me. They fed me. They did everything to make sure that I was happy. So, so, so we're close. We're close, and we kept it like that until her death. And she told me, Stanley, happy. Something gonna be happening if we don't do something right now. We need to get these children together. We know one another. So if I know Honey, my mother, as close as she and myself were. I know Charlotte, my sister, and you know, we know one another so well. Attitude and all. When we were small, what we did, how somebody to do this, and sometimes we get together, we talk about fun. I know Mark, okay, and then Mike, Hester, commonly called Eddie Mike, and we know one another. These brothers and sisters, I know Paul Newton, I know O'Neill, and I know Tom, I know Boto. We grew up, brothers and sisters. But what is happening? Newton had his children, those that are born in Liberia, those that left for Liberia very small and came into this great country. They don't know us and they don't know our children. Our children don't know our brothers and sister children. So this is very necessary. If we must keep Mansera legacy growing on with love, making two sisters one, then we got to do something for our children to know that we are the kind of people that Mansera put together. And I think we wished that we can work as hard to make sure that this reunion continue as we get more, and more as we live longer. Sure, those that didn't know me when we come together in Minnesota, they will know me. I will know them, even though I'll forget them quicker because I'm older. But I'll be glad to see them. I'm sure they'll be glad to see their Uncle Stanley too. So, the legacy, our legacy, and our truth, our branch is our love, that charity of Mount Sarah. We want that to continue growing.
All right, Reverend Keeper.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Saros, for your time that you have spent with us. But one thing that I left out is that Mount Sarah had two girls, and two girls brought forth 21 children. Alexine, I mean, they had more than that, but those that lived,
Mm-hmm.
21. Alexine, 11. Amelia, 10. And we lived together all our life, loving and caring for one another. Everywhere we went, if anybody fell short, we pull the next person up. We live happily together, and I believe that with that bond, I don't care how long you drift apart. Like when you went to church and decide to become a Christian, or your parents brought you into a Christian home, that you might sometimes stray away, but then you will find your road. And I believe that it was time that our children get to know us and our children get to know us. Because our children having children.
Mm.
Because look at Baki and Abraham. Okay, Abraham has two girls, and so I am a great grandfather. So this is why it's necessary, fully necessary, that we get together and be able to bring the rest of the people back home because all of us are not fortunate to come to the United States. But that we be able to show love to those who are less fortunate because we say less fortunate. When you don't come to America, that means, and
Mm.
you don't have the financial support that will be able to lift our other brothers and sisters up that are falling short. So we thank you very much for your devotion, your time, and the respect that you show this family for bringing us to the place, even though I'm a preacher and all the time I'm on some kind of something. Sometimes I'm preaching, they recording me, I don't even
You
know.
know that you see the video out
Until I
there.
see the video out. But it is wonderful. And it is through the discipline and the much more um, earnestness where you have found yourself that it's not only for our family, but because of your humanity, the way you want to reach out to people
Mm-hmm.
to make people to know the value that they have. Right now, you're showing us our value. Some of us just don't know our value, but you are able to come in, humbly come in with that discipline. So I must commend you and congratulate you
Thank you.
for your time that you finished taking to come here to bring. There are people who all over the world looking for somebody to do this thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you are able to do it.
It's our pleasure.
I will just give God the glory and honor for you. And I will hope that God will strengthen you and your kids.
Amen.
Ma will grow up to become very much, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we look for. That love and care. So thank you very much.
All right, guys, it's been a wonderful, wonderful evening having you. Those we could not, though we could not keep Uncle Nathan with us, but we hope we can get another section with him, and the others who could not make it on. But I think you guys gave us, good food for thought, wonderful recollections that I'm sure that when the family gets to watch this at the family reunion or whatever they will see this video, they will get to know, the essence of the Sarah Morris descendants coming together and having this reunion. The Uncle Stanley said, continuing to go ahead even after our generations are gone, the ones to come will have something to look at to know where this root comes from or this tree comes from. So we hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Uncle Stanley, thank you for joining us from all the way there in Ostigo.
Thank you, Cyrus.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye bye. Thank you guys, and we wish you guys all of the best.
Let me come go eat.